It looks like your property goes all the way down to the shoreline. Is that correct, Ms.? Okay. This particular resolution, I'm not sure if it's just purchasing the trail, because that's what I think it's doing, or a trail, whatever we're going to do. Or it actually purchases a portion of the beach above the high water mark, and that's of a concern to me. Because right now I think the high water mark seaward belongs to the state. The high water mark landward belongs currently to the property owners. So that is a concern that the beach itself has not been addressed, I think, adequately in this deal. Secondly, the DOH poisons issue, because I've noticed on one of the documents that were handed, you can see this real light gray area. It shows the poison house, and I understand what Mr. Gugong is saying about DOH. And I don't know what exposure the county would have if we buy a portion of your property and it is being impacted somehow by whatever is there historically from the mill. So that's a concern. The third concern that I have is that who in the county would maintain this. So I called Mr. Fitzgerald and talked to him. He's Parks and Recreation. And it is not Parks and Recreation that would be maintaining this. This is a shoreline access which is handled by DPW, Public Works. And I left a message for Mr. Lee, but we've not made contact, so I don't know what his position is on this trail, because there's only one way to get down there, and that is by the trail, and anything that they would have to clear or pick up or whatever brings it back, have to carry it out, manually or on their backs or something like that. So I wanted to have Mr. Lee's input, and we just don't have that today, which is okay because we can get it next time. I'll call him again, give him better notice the next time. But the last thing that I'm concerned about is the parking, because right now it's not adequate. We know your street is too narrow, and we know that there have been problems on the street. I'm not assigning blame or judgment. I'm just saying we all recognize there's been some issues. And the parking, a parking lot. Typically, when the county owns something, we have a parking lot. Inadequate as it may be, there's some public parking area for people to park their cars so they're not negatively impacting the neighborhood. And those are the issues that I am really concerned about. And I just wanted to comment on those. I have no judgment on that at this moment in time. We need more information. And now, Mr. Yugong.
Yeah, thank you. Just to address that concern, I think Mr. Ewan kind of touched upon it. You keep in mind that this has been utilized forevermore as a pedestrian trail. People that come in, the folks that you saw there earlier at the site visit, those folks were dropped off at Pinky's and they walked down. People utilize this as a pedestrian mill beach, and the people that utilize this on a regular basis knows that. The kids that you saw that was walking up the trail with the bodyboards, those guys didn't come and park there. They were dropped off by their parents, and they're going to meet them up at Pinky's. So, do we need to take a look at additional parking? I think there's some opportunities, maybe with the adjoining property. I think that's good. But the thing I want you folks to really keep in mind here, when we talk about coming up with a solution, why we should go the eminent domain. If you go to eminent domain, what that means is the trail itself, the pedestrian trail, would then be held in perpetuity by the public. The thing is, Charlene and Jim one day may decide to sell the property. If that happens, there's a transition of the property. If we put it in the public's domain, what that means is it doesn't matter who the property transition onto. You don't have to go through this whole thing over and over and over again. And I think that's really important. In regards to Mr. Sharpshire, I did speak to him. That's why I left the room during your presentation. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be rude, but it was to take a call and speak to Mr. Sharpshire. And what he said to me was this. Well, first of all, he supports and he testified at the Papaikou hearing that he supports the resolution as being proposed. But more importantly, what he said in his discussion with Charlene was that he said that, you know, in terms of taking a look at that additional, that alternative plan, that's fine. But what he recommends is having the Pritchett and Mr. Wall do what he did in Hakalau, which is what he did was he gave a declaratory easement for their property in Hakalau, which means you have public access through that easement, right? And if at any time that the Walls does create the trail and does do what they say they want to do and does clean up the hazardous material, the declaratory easement will allow you to switch the trail. That is what he said that he recommended, not to, you know, and at that point in time, if there's some type of arrangement that can be made, then certainly we can discuss, you know, that secondary trail. However, you know, it's important that the existing trail, you know, in my estimation, we still should go to the eminent domain because we make sure that stays in public domain. But just to answer your question, Mr. Hoffman, that is what he had suggested. With that said, I do want to make an amendment, which is really something that was, well, let me make an amendment. I move that we amend Resolution 308-12 with the contents contained in Communication 853-22.
Sorry, second by Mr. Pilato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is basically the Corporation Council did take a look at the resolution, and what they basically identified was something that we had missed. The exhibits that we had did not quite correspond with the therefore be it resolved. And they had pointed it out to us and recommended that we correct that. And we looked at that and they were correct in their assessment. So what this does is basically correct the language to make sure that it refers to the proper exhibits. So I appreciate Corporation Council picking this out. Thank you very much. I think it was Kathy Garson that did that. So this is basically, I think, just to make sure that we have the proper document in front of the council. Thank you.
Are there any comments on the amendment? Any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Blas.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Akeda.
Honolulu.
Mr. Onishi. Okay, Mr. Pilato.
Excused.
Aye. Mr. Yagong.
Aye.
Mayor Ford.
Aye.
Mr. Akeda.
Honolulu.
Mayor Ford, you have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Communication 853.22 passes.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Yagong.
I'll close it, and I think we probably talked this quite a bit here in the committee level. We do know that this will move up to the council level regardless of where the vote is. But let me just say this, and thank you to the landowners, and thank you to some of the suggestions that have been made in regards to continued discussion between the landowner and the people in the community. I will tell you that I'd be very happy, and I've always been happy to try to facilitate discussion to take place between the landowner and the community. In fact, the community had actually met with me and asked me to do that, to facilitate. We have had several community meetings in regards to this. In fact, we even took a visit out to the property. Charlene hosted us there as far as me and my staff. But I'd be very happy to talk about some of the different ideas that has been brought forward here today. And certainly we await the information brought forward by the Department of Health because, of course, some of the levels of hazardous material is obviously has to be a big concern to everybody, no matter which side of the table you're on in regards to this. But I strongly recommend council members, one of the things that have brought up this alternative route brought forward by the landowners is the fact that this eminent domain resolution has come forward. It has been the document that has finally made everybody realize that we need to come to the table and talk story. And without the eminent domain, without this document being brought forward, I don't know if we would have had an alternative route being suggested here, and I don't know if we would have another a possible declaratory easement as a possible way to handle this. And I don't know if the eminent domain is still where we should go. But this document has brought the discussion to where we are today. And that's why I would recommend to my council members, that you give us the 2 weeks that will take place between now and when it goes up to the council member. But give us the 2 weeks with the teeth, with this document, this vehicle that has been what has brought us here today. Now, if at that point in time we come up with a different alternative that we can all agree with, that the community and the landowners, where it's a real win-win, then so be it. I'll be the first to withdraw the eminent domain resolution if we come to an agreement that is a win-win. I also, is always looking forward to a possible solution that avoids conflict. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we are moving down a road that is going to come up with true solutions and not just attempt to, push this down the road or kick the can down the road, as my friend Mr. Hoffman always say. So I would ask my council members, let's pass this with the amendment, move it up to the full council. In the next 2 weeks, we will do exactly what you folks are asking us to do, sit down, talk story with the right people, and hopefully we can come up with something that we can all agree with and make a win-win. And but I ask you to allow it to happen with the vehicle of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hoffman.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just one final comment. And by the way, I certainly don't disagree that the eminent domain resolution we have before us clearly has focused attention on this issue. It's probably been long overdue. So I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with using it as a hammer and a hatchet if there's another way of trying to solve it. I'd like to see that. I would call council members' attention to communication 853.18. This is not something that's necessarily up for the grabs, but it does indicate, I think if I'm reading this correctly, the opinion of the planning director as to the what the county would do, I guess, in following this. This is not a discussion issue right now. I just like, as one of the focus for council members, to please keep this in mind and to question Ms. Lita Todd on the exact parameters of this particular correspondence dated 8 October. I think it's pertinent. Thank you.
May I speak? I don't know if that's proper.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Prickett.
I'm not aware of that correspondence.
It's a letter to you, ma'am.
Oh, which letter?
Okay, after the meeting, we'll
Okay.
show you.
And the other, forgive me, council members, I'm not familiar with the protocol here. Is it possible to have more than 2 weeks?
Mr. Hoffman, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure that I'm the one to answer the question. If the chair of the council has the right to not agendize this issue immediately, he can do that, I think, for 2 consecutive meetings, and then must agendize it. So I leave that to the council chair to determine that if there's seemingly moving forward, then I guess it's up to him as to whether he wants to agendize it on the 9th of November. The next meeting after that, I think, is something like the 22nd or 23rd of November. So, but that's his call. Thank you.
Mr. Pilago.
Just to follow up, why would you need some additional time?
Jim Waugh is a past Rhodes Scholar. Jim and I have been extremely fortunate. We were raised in completely different countries.
Some extra time.
Pardon?
Why would you need some extra
Jim
time?
has long ago, over a year ago, committed to lead the committee to choose Canada's next Rhodes Scholar.
Why would you need some extra time on this issue here?
It's this coming, it's the week, it's one of the weeks of the 2 weeks.
All right.
Let me make a comment.
Thank you.
Our next council meeting is November 9th, and then it's November 21st after that. And you're saying that he has a commitment during one of those two council meetings?
It conflicts with the first one.
The 8th and the 9th of November. Is that correct?
Sorry. Set the 21st?
I think it is bizarre to expect us to come up with an answer to this puzzle that hasn't had an answer for years on the entire island in 2 weeks' time. If you expect us as foreigners to do that for you, it's a very strange request indeed. And I am committed for most of November, particularly the weekend following the 21st, to be in Canada at that time, and I'm not able to devote time to these circumstances here on this island.
I, by the way, am not a foreigner, born and raised in Arkansas.
Mr. Pilago.
Thank you. That's exactly why I asked the question, because I didn't want those kinds of comments. I was hoping to hear you needed some extra time to bring in some voices from the community.
Absolutely.
Because you would have used the time to organize your community. Because at one time when we talked, I was under the impression that the community was supporting you. And at the public hearing, I thought, well, maybe somewhere not. I really was hoping you would say you needed some extra time so you could work with the community and give a presentation that was a little bit different from today's and a little bit different from the public hearing one. And you chose not to. I'll say that.
Well, Councilman Pilago, I think Jim needs to be here. I think we both need to be here to work with the
We
community.
understand. And it's likely you'll have some extra time. And when you have that extra time, should you have the extra time, will you give a different presentation? Or is it going to be the same
To
one?
you or to our community? I'm sorry, I'm just not following.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear. But thank you for having me share that. Thank you.
Are there any other comments at this time?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Mr. Katie, you have the floor.
Yes, like, I do sympathize with the wall, but I think they have to realize that everything seems to be against them. And they have to come to some kind of agreement with themselves and the community whereby they can work together. And like I said, there's no doubt in my mind that the community should be allowed public access. But I think they also should be compensated somehow, in the sense that I think that, they should have rights like, I can understand where, there shouldn't be loud noises at night and so forth, no drugs, And I know, like, I heard comments about vandalism, about breaking their trees or stealing their trees or throwing their trees away. And when we went to the Walls property, there were a lot of fruit trees with a lot of fruits on. And I'm not sure if the public is helping themselves with fruits and so forth. And these are kind of things that the public also have to respect the Walls. And this is what really bothers me. And I'm a property owner too, and I had things stolen from me from my fruit trees. And I didn't appreciate that. I think a lot of us that own fruit trees have lost fruits to people that just come over and help themselves, And it's kind of disturbing. So I do understand your problem, but I think maybe the Walls don't quite understand what we're looking for. And I think what it really is you have to have the support also of the community. It's a give and take thing. Maybe, like I said, if you open up 24 hours a day, but allow night fishing.
But we have done that occasionally.
Yes, but this is what I'm saying. They want it every day, 365 days a year, and I think whether you give in or not, they're gonna get it. I mean, I don't see what you don't understand there. Because once we give them public access and eminent domain, they're gonna get it. What I'm really trying to tell you is that you can offer them and in return get something back in return where they will help upkeep the trails, respect your property, no drinking, no dogs, no smoking, no fires, no fireworks, things like that, where you can have peace of mind also. And I think it's a trade-off. I don't really believe in eminent domain, but I really believe that both of you could work out some kind of a solution. And I don't think this is what Mr. Pilago is trying to get at. He didn't hear it from you. And I didn't hear it from you also. And I'm one of your biggest supporter, and that's what bothers me too. So I didn't hear where you're going to work with the community to get some kind of solution. Otherwise, I have no choice by law but to support the public. That's a state law.
I understand.
And I have to support the law. I will follow the law. And so I'm
Councilman Ikeda, the police have told us that if we don't shut the gate at night, if we don't lock the property up, then they can't help us if something goes wrong.
You're gonna lose that anyway if we open the public access. And this is what I'm trying to get at. You're gonna lose it anyway. And I don't want to see that too, because I can see both of you are very good people, and I hate to see you guys get hurt. I don't know if fencing your property is the correct way, but I'm trying my best to try and negotiate something for you so you can keep your land and yet open access to the public. And I think this is where you need to work with the public, where the community will police the property for you. It's not you against the community. You guys got to work together. You guys one community. And I think this is where you got to go and talk to the community. I'm sorry that there's a lot of outside influence from people from Hilo, from Puna, from Volcano trying to influence you guys, but we shouldn't be involved in this. It should be your people right there that lives in Papaikou. It's directly affecting all of you, not us. Like I said, you never see me walk down your beach.
But we do get a lot of people from outside.
Yes, I understand.
Not a lot.
I understand it, but we shouldn't. If anyone, we're going to be the one that dirty up your land. We're the ones that are going to litter your land. You got to be honest. We're not from your district. The one that's going to respect the land is the people that live in Papaikou. Right, Mike? People in Papaikou is the one that's going to take care of your land, not guys like us from the outside. We're going to dirty up your land. We're the ones you don't want. So this is all I'm saying, that try and work with the community. You got 2 weeks. Try and get the leaders, talk to them, see if you can come to some kind of solution. Like I said, otherwise I have no choice. I have to go for the public access. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a comment and we'll call for the vote. I understand what Mr. Cade is saying, but I wish that all of our county parks were treated with respect and the rules were obeyed. Your rules are not different than any other beach park that we've got in the county. They have a closing hour. It's usually sundown or sometimes 10 o'clock at night. I know you've had problems with the wild parties and whatever. We don't allow drinking on our parks unless you're in a permit. You have a permit for a particular structure, because we have those. And people break that rule all the time. We have no smoking. And, it's drastically reduced the number of cigarette butts on the beaches, but we still have a problem of that 1%, that won't follow the rules. I really feel sorry for you guys, because you've done a really nice job. So I hear about the trail and everything else, and you're only asking to have your land treated with respect. And some people are just not going to do that, and there's always that group of people. Anyway, they break it anyway.
I think Jim and I would actually feel better about having a true public access where the trail, the parking lot, that we sketched out some parking at the trailhead on our property. We just would very much prefer to have it elsewhere than it is right now, because we think this trail won't work for the county, and we may need this trail to pull out the west end of the mill. And moving it, so clearly it would be, you just have to trust us on that. It would be better for its purpose, but it would also be farther from us. So to have people walking up and down at all hours of the night wouldn't bother us in the other location. I don't know if the county would allow it, but
Just as a comment, my staff and I actually went down every shoreline access along the Lee Drive that's in my district, my current district. And I got to tell you, most of them are 6 feet wide, because that's the law. They go right next to people's front doors and side windows, and in one case, under the corner of their house. Because the sea has piled up a lot of boulders, and so people go under their house instead of across the boulders. So I know what it's like to have a shoreline access that's difficult. And I understand what Mr. Cade is saying, and I am very concerned for you. I know it does not give anybody a feeling of security to have strange people walking through your property at night. Or stealing your fruit, because I've lost the fruit too. Mr. Yukong, I'm going to ask you to bring us to a close.
Yeah, please keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that the people of Papaikou, and you heard the testimony, you heard the people that came up that are 85 years old, that are 70 years old, that are 60 years old, that are 50 years old, time and time again came forward and told everybody, forget any map or any lines on a piece of paper. You have real, live, down-to-earth residents of Papaikou long before it was purchased by the landowner. Long before that had utilized this trail and had access to the beach and to the ocean. Whether it's the location that's there now or whether it was the original trail, as Mr. Wall stated in the video, there was access, there was a trail. I appreciate you folks are having, some consolation for the landowner, but I gotta tell you, please have consolation for the people that have lived there their entire lives. Their entire lives, a generation of people that have come forward and told the council as eloquently, and maybe sometimes in a little bit of pidgin English, but these are the people of the plantation camp that grew up in that area and has utilized this particular property. Please have some consolation for them as well. They're the one that's saying that they're willing to provide, cleanup of the beach part. They're willing to help care for it. Why? Because they were caring for it prior to the landowner being there. So I want to make a win-win situation, and Shirley, this is what I ask.
It wasn't clean when we got there.
In the next 2 weeks, what I'd like to do is Shirley, come on. Why would you have to take the opportunity in front of 300 people to stand up there and apologize? Why would you have to do that? Why would anyone apologize if there was nothing done in relationship to the interaction of the people of Papaikou? Why would you have to do that if, indeed, there was no reason to do so?
Chairman, you're gone.
But let me finish and then I'll give you the money. So all I'm saying is, what the people want, we want to get together. We want to come up with a solution. It could be the eminent domain. It may be other areas, but let's do that. In terms of holding up the resolution, we have this coming up in 2 weeks. We have an opportunity to meet within this next 2 weeks. We'll bring people, and I hope you'll be very willing to meet with the folks. We'll sit down and talk about something we wanted to do months ago, which I asked you to do, and which you folks refused to do.
May I comment?
Yes, please.
We came to your office with with someone else, a third party, last winter and asked how you were feeling about this. And you said you weren't really interested in our land. You hadn't heard from those folks again. And then we got a call from you while we were away saying, you better come, I think you better come and negotiate with these folks or it's going to go to court. And with all due respect to Noelle Rodriguez, who I think on another, without this issue, I could be friends with her. The first thing she ever said to Jim when Craig Neff introduced them at a CDP meeting was, quote, we're going to take your land, quote. And we had read incendiary letters from Mr. Christensen in the newspaper, and we looked at each other and said, these are the people you're asking us to come and negotiate with? So it was an unfriendly beginning. And we are not the kind of people to hold grudges. But it was not, why would any landowners come and talk to people about resolution when those were the first volleys of the war?
They, along with others, was being invited to the meeting. There was a lot of different people. We tried to bring all different aspects and different views, that were hoping to
we worked with Skibbs. Well, I just.
But I would like to say that I look forward to it. I hope you're open to it. I'd like to do it within the next couple of weeks. This will come up in the next 2 weeks. However, at that point, we can consider your situation as far as on the 21st, and when you need to go to Canada. But I do want to say that let's make that effort to meet within this next couple of weeks. I will get in touch with you, and hopefully we can come to get a little bit closer. With that, Madam Clerk, I hope that we support this resolution, move it up to the next full council, and then at that time, hopefully we can report back to you what we have done as a community within the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please take the roll call vote.
Mr. Blas.
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Ikeda.
Kanalo.
Mr. Onishi.
No?
Mr. Pelago.
Aye.
Mr. Yagong. Mayor Ford.
Kalua.
Mr. Ikeda.
Kanalo.
Ms. Ford.
Kalua.
Ms. Ford, you have 6 ayes.
Thank you. Resolution 308-12 moves forward with a positive recommendation for the council. Thank you very much to Ms. Prickett and Mr. Waugh. And we are now going back to the top of the agenda. Yes.
If no objections, if we could dispense with... I'm sorry, if no objections, if we could dispense with communication 853-2010, that's related to this one.
All right.